One of the big rules that I learned when I was working at Scholastic was never trust just one source when you're doing research. 2, 3 if you can get it. It's my cardinal rule. I double, triple check my facts. I even sometimes hire a fact checker. I did that with Charles and Emma because I didn't want to make any mistakes. Whenever anybody is doing research, whether it's a published author or it's a child doing a report for school, you should always have more than one source for a fact. And now we come to the question that everybody wants to know the answer to. What's better, a book or the internet? Back in the day that I was working at Scholastic, there was no such thing as the internet. We only used books, magazine articles, newspapers, interviews with experts, observation, all those great research tools that I'm afraid kids today might be losing, and adults, because we just go to the internet. Now, there is wonderful information on the internet, but you have to know what you can trust. Teachers are usually very good at telling kids what they can trust, and schools, a lot of schools have filters. But sometimes you stumble upon a website and you're not sure, because maybe you find a mistake because you've already read some books. And there's a disagreement. What do you do if there's a disagreement? Well, you have to go to another source. If you find a mistake on a website, you can't really trust the whole website. Also with a book. If you find a mistake in a book, it's hard to trust that book. Now, I'm an author. I've made mistakes. We've had mistakes in some of my books that we then correct. Sometimes they're little mistakes. They're usually little mistakes. We hope they're no mistakes, but we try very hard to make it as accurate as possible. I always have experts read my manuscripts, more than one if I can, and I have fact checkers help me check facts. Editors can't always do that, and they trust the author to do it, so that's what we do. I was just talking to a group of kids, and somebody said, well, do you trust Wikipedia? I said, well, that's an interesting question. Wikipedia is that online encyclopedia where anybody can write an article. I think you can go to Wikipedia for some basic facts, but you can never totally trust those facts. I have a couple of funny experiences with Wikipedia. One time I read an article about Easter when I was doing my book on Celebrate Easter, and it said something about how people in Norwegian countries whip each other in Easter. And I said, well, obviously somebody made all this stuff up. It turned out it was true. But I could, I had to verify that by talking to people and looking at books. Not that I put that in my book about Easter, but then I had to know. When I was working on Charles and Emma, The Darwin's Leap of Faith, I went to the Wikipedia website about Emma Wedgwood, who married Charles Darwin, just to double check how many siblings she had. And I knew right away the website was wrong. I went to one of my book sources, and I went to another book source, and I saw the Wikipedia was wrong. So you can go in and you can change it. So I went in and I changed it. 45 minutes later, I went back, someone had changed it back. I knew I was right. I went back in and I changed it again. The other person went back in and changed it. This went on for about 24 hours and I finally gave up. And I feel terrible about it because people who go to that Wikipedia website are getting the wrong information.